What's up, everybody? I'm TJ.
And I'm Kelsey, and we are
the Nashville Wine Duo. All right. We are outside.
We're outside, and our neighbors, their little dogs are barking really loudly.
You can tell they're little dogs.
We already set everything up out here, so we're just going to roll with it. At least it's not the giant dog they usually have out there. So
we have a special guest on our podcast.
Yeah.
She made, I think, 1 or 2 visits last season.
Mm-hmm.
And she's making her season 2 debut with our upgraded technology.
Yeah.
Big upgrade.
Megan Knox.
Megan Knox.
Miss Nashville.
I said Knox.
Nashville.
Megan Knox. Yeah. She's awesome. She's one of our very dear friends. She is a foodie. She's a wine person. She loves Backstreet Boys. She's wearing one of the Backstreet Boys shirts right now. We went to the concert. It was amazing. And she loves Oregon wines. And I picked up this. That's actually why I picked this up.
Aww.
And it's called Thor's Well. It's from Kroger.
Kroger shopping.
We don't know if this will be good or not, but I was thinking we're going to do this outside. I feel like if you're going to be outside, you kind of want to be drinking. If you're going to drink a red, you want it to be lighter. And Pinot Noir can be really light. It can be nice for the outdoors. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. And I was looking in that vicinity, and I was like, Meomi, no. Okay, Thor's Well, never heard of it. Let's try it. What do you think, Megan?
Ooh, I haven't tried it yet. It's a very light color.
Yes.
It's like a light
let's cheers. Let's cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers to Megan Knox.
Yay.
Cheers to you guys.
All right, let's all take a sip. It's very light.
It's very light.
Oh, very light.
It's like the lightest Pinot Noir I think I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Kind of has a little bit of a bitter finish.
Yeah.
Interesting. At first, it was like a little fruity. It actually smells really nice, but at least to me, it smells good.
It does smell really like mahogany, like wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there is this like, what is this like? Yeah, there's a smokiness, but then there's a finish that is kind of like, whoa, it's a little like bitter.
Yeah. I guess you could, I don't know, pair this with like sushi, some sort of fish.
I definitely feel like this would be better if it was a little chilled.
Sure.
Like, you know, especially being the summer, like if we're out here, like if it was a little bit cooler.
Yeah, we should have thrown
We
a chill on
should
it.
have chilled it.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit too much room temperature.
Yeah.
It's very dry too. Super dry.
Yeah, very dry. I'm shocked. I would think so. Well, it kind of depends, but a lot of Oregon Pinot Noirs are like a little bit, I shouldn't say a little bit, probably a lot bit compared to this for like body, like bigger body. This one is extremely light.
Okay.
I would say that just even based on the color, it'll usually be a little darker and not so translucent.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's got some earthy notes to it, which is the characteristic of Willamette Valley.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny too because I was making a joke. They were like, "Oh, where's this from?" And I was like, "Well, the town of Thor's Well." And they were like, funny. Turns out it's from Thor's Well. It's a place.
Who the hell knew Thor's Well was actually a real place?
The people that made this wine, and they're from there.
And then
So
Devil's
cool.
Churn.
Yep. Yakuts, Oregon. I'm
Yakuts.
actually saying that right.
Have you been there?
No. It's below like Waldport, which is below Newport, which I grew up all the time going to because I lived like an hour from there. But no, I've never been to Thor's Well.
Well,
My only point of reference in Oregon is Goonies, which is
Really?
Astoria. Yeah, so everything
Astoria.
I put to Goonies, the movie. So it's like, yeah.
I actually, the more I'm drinking this, the more I'm like, I really enjoy this for like a summer wine. For like a summer Pinot Noir, I mean, it's chill. It's only $13. Like,
Yeah,
you know, you're going to get like a solid Pinot Noir. I feel like you're going to be spending a lot more than $13.
for sure.
So when you put that into consideration,
Mhm.
like, I mean, Megan actually works at Trader Joe's with me. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know that like at one point, all 3 of us worked at Trader Joe's, but now I still do.
Yes.
TJ doesn't, but Megan does. And I don't know if you feel this way, but like I really do feel like the Pinot Noir section has been dwindling down as time has gone by. And there is not a lot that I'm like, there's not a huge selection of Pinot Noir at Trader Joe's. And
It's really sad.
and I don't know if you, and I'm sure you do know this, but Pinot Noir is extremely hard to grow. It's very
Yes.
temperamental. So I think that could be what's going on. There's a lot of issues maybe with mold or
But there's a lot of Pinot Noirs out there. I just don't know if Trader Joe's is.
But I mean, for the price point, I think it's hard.
Right.
I think it's hard to get a Pinot Noir at like a very inexpensive price, like at a grocery store.
Well, let's
you know
be
what
honest.
I mean?
You really don't want to drink a real cheap Pinot Noir.
No, you don't. No, you really don't. Like, you kind of want to be spending like $30.
We've tried them,
Most
and
bars are
Most of them
cheap
are-
at Trader Joe's, and you
Yeah.
don't want to go there.
No,
Yeah.
I agree
But
with that.
I just want to do a shameless plug to anyone that does live in Oregon. Definitely hit up the Trader Joe's in the Portland area, because they'll have like at least 30 plus wines from the Willamette Valley in Oregon.
Really?
And they're all super tasty, around $15 or less.
Yes.
That
So
is
hit that up and you
cool.
can hit the gold mine.
I would hit up that Trader Joe's just to go do that.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Wow.
But for some reason, us in like central to east coast, you're not getting nearly as many of the west coast wines. And we've also noticed lately the just wine selection in general has been going down. Because when I checked out the Pinot Noir and even somewhat of the Cabernet when I moved here, and that was 3 years ago, crazy. It was already pretty small to begin with, and now it's like really, really small. But yeah, if you go to the Portland Trader Joe's, they'll have an entire bay full of Willamette Pinot Noir.
Do you think that's kind of Oregon in general? The Trader Joe's would have a good selection of Oregon local wines?
Yes.
Okay.
And they'll get a decent amount of, Sonoma, Napa wines too, which is great. Although I worked at the one in Northern California, so we had the best selection, in my opinion. Well, from California, not Oregon Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Megan is just a ball full of knowledge. She is a singer-songwriter here in Nashville. She's got an amazing voice.
Yes.
She's a Bachelorette fan.
Yeah, we're
That's
about to
the
watch
reason
tonight.
Yeah, we're watching the
Yeah.
season premiere of the Bachelorette.
Watch
And
party.
then she's also like in the hospitality world, so she's wearing many hats. She's very knowledgeable in many fields, and we love her. So that's why we wanted to have her on the podcast. So
Guys.
I'm excited
So,
to have you.
yeah,
Love being
And
with
I want
ya.
to, okay, hold on. I'm 1 second. You guys talk about something for like 5 seconds because I'm cooking something. And we started this right when I was cooking it. So I'll be right back and you guys talk about something.
Well, I wanted to bring up that Megan introduced us to this cool bar this weekend that we went to.
Ooh.
Le Loop.
Yep.
Okay, did I pronounce that correctly?
Possibly. That's
Okay.
how I pronounce it.
Les
It's
Loups.
French.
So it's it's part of the Optimist, right?
Right. They
Okay.
own it.
They own it because my
Mhm.
receipt actually said the Optimist. So I was like, oh, they're
Yes.
like part of it then.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about how you stumbled upon this cool little cocktail lounge that we went to.
Yeah, I think my friend Linda, who lives in Germantown, I'm pretty sure she's the one that told me about it. Possibly our mutual friend Brett, but I'm pretty sure my friend Linda did because she is definitely a big foodie like me, and we're always looking to find new bars. And she lives super close. We love the Optimist. We love Oku, which is across the street. Best sushi in Nashville. But anyways, they have this little bar that's open Thursday through Saturday, which is very limited hours. But they have all these like vintage couches and, tables and chairs and craft cocktails. I think my favorite part is for sure just like looking through the education and the quote forgotten classic cocktails, because I would never probably think to even look it up. And they'll have like dates, as the kids say, timestamps of when these cocktails were made. And I just like education because, I primarily drink wine and probably whiskey.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides that, it's nice to just have a little education
Yeah.
and like a leisurely dimmed lighting where we could just chat and it's not super loud.
Mhm.
You're in Germantown, not downtown Nashville.
The
Yeah.
menu was really cool too. I loved how they laid it out. Like I mentioned to you when we were looking at the menu, like how they had it paired with like what kind of glass it would come in, whether it was a coupe or a
yes.
rocks glass. Like
So
it kind of
cool.
like explained exactly what you were going to get. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Which I think is really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I enjoyed the ambiance so much. Rosie. It's fine. And I'm a massive like sucker for oysters. So Megan like texted me the place and then I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, this is like an oyster place.
Yeah.
And it was like they have like fresh and you and I were talking, you were saying like
Mhm.
like connected with the Optimist. So it's like they fly in like all the seafood like
Yes.
fresh. So I'm like, okay,
Uncommon.
these are gonna be like really amazing oysters because like you can't find like Henrietta Red, yeah, but like there's not a lot of places where you can really find like fresh seafood, obviously because we're not by the sea. But this, like, the whole ambiance, it's like the sea vibe, and then it was like they had the oysters, and then like you got a prawn, like,
That's
you know,
delicious.
on like some of like the small bites, it was like that kind of stuff too. And the oysters were, seriously, I told TJ on the way home, I was like, those were like some of the best oysters I've ever had in Nashville. Like, they were really good. They were so fresh, and they had this like salty, like briny sweetness to them. You are not a fan of horseradish, but I am. And the horseradish was so fresh. And then, you know, I got a sparkling with the oysters, and then we each got a Manhattan, and it was just a nice night out. And all of us have talked about, like, the weather here in June is just like, it never exists like this. It's been like perfect. Like, walking to the restaurant, walking out, like, it was just great. So yeah, Megan, thank you for showing us this place.
Oh yeah, thank you to my friend Linda, probably.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah, if you guys ever want a Germantown Rex, she is the absolute best.
Yeah.
So
no, that was whole really fun. Area was really cool, walkable.
You can tell in like a couple years, it's just gonna be like a whole new thing too, like a new area of town where people are like hanging out and like doing stuff. And but yeah,
and shout out to Joe who entered, like,
Joe's amazing.
At the door, like Joe at La Loop,
maybe a manager for sure, the host,
we're not sure, but you are cool as hell and we appreciate you.
He really was great.
Yeah,
that was
and
awesome.
Funny
Funny. Yes,
so fresh.
Yeah.
So as we go into the Bachelorette season premiere, we're excited. I've always wanted to have like a bachelorette watch party.
Yeah.
And so I was mentioning that while we were at La Loop, and I was like, hey, what the hell are you doing on Monday? And you were like, nothing. I was like, come over and let's watch it live.
So are you prepared to come over every Monday and watch this with us?
As long as I'm available, absolutely.
Yes.
No, it's always so much more fun. I was just talking with Cheyenne and maybe a couple other states. Like, you have to watch it with people.
Yes,
sometimes I catch up later and I watch it. I'm like, this is fine. But the whole point is to laugh and just
talk about people
in the moment.
What is she doing? What is he doing? What is
Yes.
going on? And then, like, you know, tonight's when it's a premiere, when they like come up with all these like stupid stunts to like greet somebody,
yes.
and some of them are
cringe.
so cringe and so embarrassing, and you're like, why?
Yes.
But do you think that you'd ever go on it?
No.
What are your reasons?
I don't know, that just the stuff they go through. It sounds like this like very incestual type community, just like very very unhealthy. I don't know. Listening to Caitlin Bristow, one of our favorites, right? Spade and Sparrow's wine. We've tasted that before. Yes, very delicious, very great Pinot Noir, actually.
Yes.
She has openly talked about her mental health, and I think that just watching some of the people that have come off, it seems like a lot, and they get a lot of hate. You know,
they do get a lot of hate,
and they probably get portrayed wrong.
Yeah,
you know, even the villains, I'm sure, get portrayed a little bit, differently than they should have. But who knows? I think it would be very much an interesting experience. If I was to pick one of those shows, it would probably be Love is Blind.
Okay.
Just because the whole idea of not seeing someone building this like emotional connection, I think that's way more fascinating of an experiment versus, you know, watching someone kiss 25 people.
Right. See, like, that would be my problem. Like, I'm like, I don't like the thought of like, I mean, I like watching it, but I wouldn't like the idea of like, I'm here to like compete with all these other women, and like, I need to see if this guy's gonna see me every week when I'm just like, no, I'd rather just like be the one.
But I feel like a lot of these contestants feel like they're meant to be with that person, and that's why they go through all this, is because I really connect with this person even though I don't know them, so I have to like show this person that I'm the one, kind of a thing.
True.
You know what I mean?
But I just don't think one person can stretch themselves over like 20 people.
Yeah.
No, but
you know what I mean? Like, well, they do, but do they really? No, they don't really. I mean, like, I think they kind of from the beginning have their mind on like, I think even from the beginning, like they have a select like maybe 5 people where they're like, and a lot of it I think is initially based off attraction. Like, are we really going to be honest here? I'm sure that they're like, I am physically. Sure. That's especially in these reality TV shows. Like,
sure.
You're going to look at who you're most physically attracted to, and I guarantee you, any person going into that situation has their top 5 that they're attracted to.
Definitely,
and then they're going to pursue those people.
But I feel like they do, after watching a season of whichever Bachelorette they're watching, they also get to know their personality and how they operate and like all their kind of ticking, so they also are attracted to that as
probably,
well. But Physical attraction is number one.
Actually, that's another reason why I think even Megan mentioning Love is Blind is like you go so much into it based off of a personality, and they actually have to like live together in like a normal setting. Like in the part of The Bachelor, it's like their whole thing is just this like fantasy reality like the whole entire time.
Totally.
So like it's very easy to see that break down once they got out of that. It's like you're going on these perfect dates. Everything is set up for you in the show, instead of it's like, you know, it's still a show in Love is Blind, but they have to go and then they have to like be real people, and like then you see how it like sucks almost like immediately.
And I forget who said it, if it was Nick Vial or something like that, but people were talking about like the total hours you spend with that, quote, the lead. So like Charity is the lead tonight. They were saying like by the end of the season, let's say you made it like super far through the season, you might only have spent like not even 24 hours total with them over the course of like 2.5 months.
Right.
That's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
To say I'm committing my life to you and not seeing you in normal settings.
That's really crazy.
Like normal life. That's why I kind of like Love is Blind. Like you were saying, like they go back into reality and people figure out, oh, okay, we were just kind of in this bubble. And
because the stresses of normal life like play a part in every relationship. Like what you do in your job, what I do in my job. Are we going to live in the same place? Are we going to live where you are? Like I have a cat. You hate cats. Like all this kind of stuff. Like maybe they seem simple things, but like especially if people have been alone longer in their life, then they're gonna like fully dive into this full relationship. Like it's kind of a lot, and like I think that it's easy to have like being in The Bachelor and feel like this hype of this relationship, and then like kind of be like, oh man, like we're not gonna be on The Bachelor for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you feel like the Bachelorette concept, because it's been out so long, is kind of like an old school, like where Love is Blind is like this new thing based on like, you know, not seeing each other versus living a fantasy.
One thought I have about that is like one of the things I like about Love is Blind or like Married at First Sight, I feel like these people look like more ordinary, like, and I kind of appreciate that. I'm like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, I'm like I think people are getting a little bit sick of, and you can even see this with like retail stores like Victoria's Secret models. Like everybody looks perfect, and it's kind of like, well, that's not a reality of real life. Like not everybody looks like these people. And I think when you look at The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, you're like, they're always picking the most attractive people. They're not picking like, not everybody in the world looks like these people. It's just unrealistic to me. And I'm like, it's kind of nice to like watch Love is Blind or these shows, and you're like, oh, these are more like not model people. Like they just are regular people that are not like, you know, do you agree with me at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's just a very fantasy world all around, whether it be like the looks or people that like, for example, I love the descriptions that they give to these people, like what's their career, like that's one of my favorite parts. If you actually look at the screen, you pause it, like they'll change it. It's not always the same every time. Like it'll
on The Bachelor, when they come out of the
it's like okay, some of these people like they just come up with these generalized careers. It's like that's not real, like, you know, maybe like, whereas like you said, like Love is Blind, like usually they have like a verified career. I should clarify, if anyone, highly doubt anyone from the Bachelor world will listen to this, but if they do, I'm like, there are plenty of people that do have real careers, but there are also ones, I'm sure they could admit, that don't really have like legit careers, and it's just not very normal, like you were saying, like not very like real life.
But I actually think that's why, you know, Love is Blind is like gone like viral, like especially among like women,
way more.
And I think it's because of that reason. Like we're watching it being like, oh, this feels more like real life, like this feels like I'm watching, and then they struggle with the like, I'm not attracted to him, I am attracted to him, but everybody just feels more relatable. And I think that people are longing for like relatability, like in reality TV, in social media, and everything. I think we're all wanting like to feel more relatable, and we're tired of seeing this like cookie cutter kind of like perfect person. And a lot of the times that looks like wealth, that looks like beauty, that looks like power. Well, guess what? A lot of us don't have that.
Right.
You know, a lot of us don't, you know, we might have one of those things, but we don't have all three. And I think that, you know, everything out there is trying to tell you like, this is the epitome of a perfect life, to have like beauty, power, and money. And, you know, I just think that that's kind of a lie. I think that that's a lie that everyone's buying into, and that sometimes these shows kind of promote them. Not saying we can't have fun and watch them. Not at all. You're not shamed for watching that. We're going to watch it tonight. We're going to watch it all season long and have fun. But I feel like don't like look at this stuff and compare yourself, which actually goes into like the stuff that me and you were talking about before we started the podcast that I want to talk about. Like, so TJ and I went to the mall the other day, and I was like, hey, like, I feel like I have a lot of like really ugly clothing, and like, why have you not told me?
Like, I'll get
No,
blamed
I
for
lit-
this. I didn't buy any of it. How am I getting blamed?
Literally, and I was like, look, tell me right now, have I bought a lot of ugly stuff? And he just looked at me and smiled, and I was like, you can tell me. I was like, please. I said, I am not going to be angry at you. I said, please just tell me if I've bought a lot of ugly clothes. And again, he just smiled, and I was like, okay. The smile means that that's a yes. So, but he ended up like admitting it in like a way that wasn't like bothering me. So he was like, I just feel like you wear things a lot of the time that are like kind of frumpy or like.
I said that don't compliment your body.
Don't compliment my
That's
body.
what I said.
You did say frumpy eventually.
Maybe after I said don't compliment your body.
So, anyway, I was like, okay, like I can see that's kind of true. And I just think that like as women, we think we can't wear like very like form-fitting things that like match our shape if like we're not like a size 0, which, you know, I have fluctuated in my weight, not like insanely. Like I'm usually, you know, I'm like pretty small, but then I'll be a little bit curvy too at times too. But I'm, you know, I'm like, it goes different ways throughout my life, which I think that's most people. Right?
Totally.
At different ages, that's going to happen. But I feel like you always are looking back at the past and being like, I need to be this certain size if I'm going to be able to wear this certain thing. And I think that you put that on yourself and like you're projecting something that you think everyone else is looking at, but like it's more what you're thinking. Like, what do you think, Megan?
Yeah, I mean, probably a lot of thoughts, I guess. But as we were sharing earlier before this, I definitely have morphed over the years or it has continually grown, just my thoughts towards that topic, and just like realizing that I will always have like certain curves. It doesn't really matter what size I get down to. It's like, it doesn't really matter. I'm always going to have this, and you might as well just embrace it. And I think, I mean, I don't know if I always wear flattering things, but I think more and more, if anything, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I'll just lean into like what my body type is. And I think, a lot of us women, yeah, we do compare too much, and especially social media and different things like that are going to paint really ugly pictures of like what is attainable, or which, you know, perfection isn't attainable. A lot of those pictures are oftentimes, you know, airbrushed, edited.
That is
They can show you a lot of things. I think I even like I don't know really much about the Kardashians, but I hear that like they've had lots of different weight fluctuations, or at least some of them have. And anytime I see them, I'm like, you're so gorgeous, you know, like they're always going to have curves. Like sometimes they're thinner, sometimes they're bigger, and it doesn't matter. Like whatever they are made to be, like that is beautiful.
Right.
And you are beautiful, Kelsey.
Oh, thank you. You are too. But I do think like what you're saying, it's interesting. And I don't know, I've thought about this a lot. Like it's crazy how like during whatever decade, the standard of beauty has changed, right? And like if you go back to like the 1940s, women were curvier, and that was the standard. And like, but every decade since, it's like then there was like 90s where it was like super thin, and then it was like, oh no, give me curve. And the Kardashians, like what you're saying, they made it be the curvier, and then they're going back to thin. And it's like, wow, why are we all just being like, whatever's the trend? Why don't we just say like, I'm gonna embrace who I am, and if I'm healthy, whatever that weight might be, you know, I don't need to copy what everyone else is saying. I just need to be like, okay, like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. When you said that, I had this flashback to history class when I was in high school, and how my teacher, she was educating, I think it was like during the 1800s at some point, and this lasted a really long time. Basically women that were a size like 12 or maybe even bigger, they were looked at as like the most desirable. And I just remember the guys in the class were like, oh, wow. Like, and they have no idea even in reality, like what that is, which by the way, that can look really different on different women. It may seem like it's one exact size, but you might be taller or shorter or whatever, or carry weight in different areas. But the point was that if you were a size like 12-ish, the whole reason why you were desirable is because you were well fed, which meant that you probably had some money.
Right.
So it was a totally different thing. And like, faces were obviously probably somewhat important. But it's just interesting that they were saying like that was the top priority. You know, if a woman like had some fat on her, which by the way is great for childbirthing. So
True.
All sorts of things. There's benefits, but I mean, that doesn't matter if you don't have, weight or curves. That's not a big deal. But now, that's the whole point is your image.
Yeah.
So
I just think that we should stop comparing ourselves so much and just live in each day. And I think if you're healthy and you're trying to be that way and, like be happy in who you are.
You want a male perspective?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks.
I do.
I think you guys need to be up here in your head. And if you feel good up here, do it. Like if you look at yourself and you're like, it all starts in like how you view yourself.
But we're saying a lot of time it's negative.
But I'm saying if you guys view yourselves as like, I look good in this, who cares what everybody else thinks? You know?
That's a good point.
Do men ever get insecure?
Oh, yes, all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Because you're trying to achieve things that you don't even know you're trying to achieve because it's society and social media and all these things. Yeah. But at the end of the day, who cares? Just do you. Be yourself.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And drink some Thor's Well. Right?
Drink some Thor's Well.
Okay, let's
Devil's
say cheers
Churn.
to that. Thor's Well.
Thor's Well.
Amen.
Cheers, Megan.
I really am
Cheers,
like
guys.
I'm enjoying
We're
Thor's
going
Well.
in.
Night one.
It's better and better.
It's getting better and
Night
better
one.
as I drink it.
Bachelorette.
Let's go charity.
Let's go, charity.
Cheers.
Limo.
Cheers.